We
Can't hear you, Steve.
How about now?
Yes, now we can hear.
We're good.
Now, Jesus. Every day there's a problem. Well, it's Wednesday. I hope you guys are ready for a good call. I'm sure as heck ready. We've got, well, at least Todd I saw on from Sherwood Home Inspection. So we'll do some home inspection stuff today. But let's start with you guys. Anybody have anything? We're at Wednesday. If you had a listing this week, you had some open houses, we should be negotiating offers. We should have probably put the deal together. Anybody list something and put a deal together? And let's, I'd love to dissect a deal. Who's got something? No deals put together. Come on. I don't believe it. Turn those mics on. Turn those cameras on. What do you got? Share with us. What's going on?
I submitted an offer. I'm waiting on it.
Offers in. Okay. This is a property that got listed last week, Rumani?
Yes, yeah, within
New
like
listing.
a week. It was in Sutton.
It was a new listing last week?
Yes,
Okay. Open house over the weekend?
there was an open house. Yeah, the property had multiple offers. And,
Okay.
there a deadline yesterday,
The deadline was yesterday at what time?
5 p.m.
5 p.m. Okay. All right. So you're just kind of sitting and waiting. How many conversations with the listing agent for you?
They were very hard to reach. There were two co-listing agents. One I could never reach, and after I needed the seller's name that I never got, so I just submitted the documents like that. I did reach out to one person, and he to kind of check on like how many offers they had, what they were like, what were the expectations, because it said that no FHA, most probably VA or FHA loans, they will not be able to get it, and my party is VA. So I just wanted to make sure that.
So just to be clear here, no phone conversations with the listing agent. Is that accurate?
Yes, there were two. I
two.
finally got hold of one person yesterday late evening, but the main listing agent I could never get hold of. She
Okay.
got back to me yesterday after I submitted the offer and kind of yelled at me and snapped at me.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we appreciate listing agents that are doing a great job. Now, I'm assuming you reached out multiple times to try and get a conversation prior to the deadline?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, guys, please don't be this listing agent. Right? We've got to get open dialogue. If you're doing what's the best interest of your seller, you've got to have conversations with these buyers agents. I understand there are times, especially when it's multiple offers, you could get, I was just talking to an agent in the office the other day, 15 offers, I think it was.
Wow.
And I get it, right? And you can't have a deep conversation with every single agent. But do your best effort. Hey, you know what? I'm slammed. I got 20, 30 offer, whatever the case might be, right? Here's what we're looking for. Have a templated email, have a templated voice memo that you can send out to people. Here's some of the things that we're looking for, but just be professional. To just ignore and not respond is ultra frustrating. And in my mind, it's going to come back to bite you. So I don't know if anybody wants to play devil's advocate, somebody that's just had a listing recently, where they were slammed, and how did you handle it? You know, did you talk to everybody that tried to have a conversation? Can anybody speak to this? I mean, is there can anybody think of a reason why we can't, at a minimum, just put together a templated email, a templated text message, a templated a voice memo that has what we're looking for? Hey, look, I know you're trying to get information. Here's what I know. Here's what we're looking for. If you have something, you know, if you have questions above and beyond what I've provided in this, then please reach out, type of a thing. As I think the professional way to handle this. So unfortunately, Romani, these are tough deals to win, right? When you can't have a conversation, we can't negotiate. I don't know I can't put my best foot forward if I
Yeah,
don't know, right? I can take a
yeah.
guess, right? But
And
it's
yesterday when I submitted and I was trying to reach out to her, she got really, really upset. And I looked at my phone log. I think I called her maybe twice or thrice, 2 times before the deadline and twice after the deadline. And she just snapped and went on and on about how I was kind of bothering her, and I mean I should have some courtesy to leave her alone. It was like it was the first
yeah,
time for me, so I'm kind of still reeling from it, but
yeah,
I was surprised that she
yeah. Can you imagine
kind
if
of
those got shared with her seller? You're bothering
yeah,
me? I'm sorry. I thought you were representing the seller and you're trying to get the seller the most amount of money with the best terms. And in order to do that, you got to have conversations.
yeah.
So to me, it's a
But
lazy agent that just doesn't want to do their job, and then turning around and blaming it on you is just kind of icing on the cake. So um, I'd love
I
to
am
hear.
excited. I think we have put our best foot forward,
Yep,
and I wrote my first offer, so it's exciting week for me. And I
good.
think I'm gonna write another one hopefully this week. So
Good.
excited.
Yeah, and don't get discouraged, with this one agent. They're not all like that. It is what
Yeah.
it is, and just keep doing what you're doing, which is trying to have a conversation, trying to understand what the finer details are. Because when you do have guys, when you have multiple offers, like a lot of them are going to be in the same price range typically. So now it's going to come down to the fine details, which means we need to have conversations with those buyers agents.
Yeah.
Right? Like, here's an example. I've got three really good offers, right? And they're in the mix. And they all have terms that are interesting, right? So let's say they're all at the same price, but they've all got different little terms that could make their offer a little bit better than maybe the others. The whole point of pricing aggressively and getting multiple offers is so that I get to pick and choose who I get to work with. And I can almost always even pick and choose the terms of the deal that I'm going to put together. Right? So in an ideal world, I don't just take all the multiple offers in and then present them. I go back to the top 3 or 4 at least and say, "Hey, look, we really love your offer, but one of the other offers has this term in it. One of the other offers has this term. They're waiving inspections. Another one is actually giving us a delayed closing, which works out really, really nice for my clients. Another one offered up to allow my clients to stay in the property post closing. Another one offered X, Y, and Z. Now, you might be able to do all of those and have the top price. But if this dialogue doesn't happen back and forth, how the heck do you know that you've got the best deal structured for your seller? So it's not just a kindness thing that we're just getting back to everybody. This is just Amber saying no more waiving inspections. Is that in full effect? Does anybody know in Massachusetts, is that fully a law and you can't do it?
The last thing that I know from Lauren was that it passed in August, and we were just waiting for updated paperwork that didn't have the delete if waived. I think we can still go in as is with right to inspection, but I think waiving inspections is no longer something we're
We
supposed
can
to
do.
do. I know people
I
are
know.
doing it, but
Yeah, I know there was a period of time where Lauren, you're on. Are you in a
Yeah,
position?
I will double check that for you. Um, I know the people in the office are licensed in Massachusetts, so I'll double check that. My understanding was correct. You cannot make it part of the contract to waive an inspection. You can sell the house as is, but you can't force the buyers not to have an inspection. You don't have to have the
Right.
inspection, just
Yeah,
can't make it part of the
the part
contract.
that I'm just trying to get clarity on, Todd, is we know that passed, but there was a period of time where it wasn't going to be in effect. So I'm just trying to identify what is that date.
I will get you the definitive answer.
Yeah, somebody has their hand up. Who is it? Lauren, what do you got?
Hi, hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm driving and service is not great. The date has not come yet. It got pushed until a date
June 8th, did you say?
I don't know the actual date in June,
But
but in
sometime
June.
in June. Okay. All right. So let's keep an eye on that, Amber. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. So as of right now, we can still put that in there if that's what it's going to take. But hopefully you guys can see it's super critical to have these conversations. And if you just took the offers and you didn't go back to the 3 or 4 or 5, or I mean, sometimes it might be, there could be 7 offers in the running to say, hey, look, here's some extra terms that we're looking for, right? When you have 10 offers, the seller's in the driver's seat. It's your job as an agent to make sure that the one that you pick has all the best goodies attached to it. And then you've got to not just get all those goodies. Do I like the agent that I'm working with? How long have you been in business? How many deals have you closed in the last 12 months? Right? How long's your lender been in business? How many loans has he closed? Of the loans that he took and he got under agreement, how many of them closed? If you're not asking these questions, you're not doing your seller justice. Like, these are the things that you got to do. Don't just be like, oh, I got all these offers. Oh, this was easy, and move on to the next one. You got to work. Stacy.
So I just had a deal last week. Same thing. All the offers were due Tuesday at 5. That's a huge thing. I keep seeing offers due Monday at 5 or Tuesday at 5. So Tuesday at 5, we submitted our offer. There were 33 other offers, but that agent got back to me in no time. Anytime I texted him or emailed him, he was amazing. And I'll remember his name. So I think that's a huge difference with it's the personality thing. Like, that guy was so communicative. I've 33 offers. It was crazy. We didn't end up getting it, but I was super impressed, and I will definitely recommend him if anyone, wants to co-list or do something. He was an incredible listing agent. I was super impressed, but
Yeah.
typically that's unfortunately not the case, because I think we do get blown off as buyer's agents when it's multiple offers and they just are overwhelmed or don't get back to us, and it's poor communication a lot of the time, unfortunately.
I forgot to get my screen share on and bring you live, Stacy. I appreciate you turning that camera on and sharing. It's just a little more joy in my world when you can turn your cameras on, guys. So first of all, but thanks for sharing that. So I haven't lost my mind. There's 33 offers on the table, and you can still be responsive. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't care in Romani's situation, oh, I had 5 offers, or I'm busy, or that's just unacceptable in my mind. And hopefully as this industry moves on and progresses, we can weed out those types of agents. Because the problem is the seller never knows. It's that same agent where you're trying to get into the property, you're trying to get an offer in, and you're getting no response. Sorry, I was on vacation. I mean, that's just not acceptable in 2025. You got to have a backup plan. You got to have a team. There's got to be somebody else in your office, at your brokerage, something that could have covered for you. Non-responsiveness is a non-negotiable. Like, that shouldn't even be part of the equation anymore. So I really appreciate it. And Stacy, that's your first interaction with this agent ever, correct? Yeah. And a lasting impression forever now for Stacy. So for the rest of Stacy's career, she's going to remember that agent. And when that agent is on the buy side of a transaction and Stacy has the listing, do you think she might do a few extra things, maybe give that person the last at bat? I think so. So if you're in this business, I hope that you're in this business to do it for a long time. This isn't I'm just going to do this for a little bit typically business, because it takes a while to get started. It takes a while to get good. So if you're in this business, you should be in this business to be in it for the long haul. And if we're in it for the long haul, we've got to build these relationships, and we got to do it the right way. Anybody else want to just share on this? I think this is a really important topic that we get this right. Anybody else just have some feedback or just another take or another situation?
Yeah, I got something, Steve. As a buyer's agent, when you get that news from that listing agent, your reaction could matter too down the road, whether it's for a backup offer, or if it's another house that they list in 2 weeks, if you're cordial with them and you're understanding, listen, I understand you had 33 offers. I appreciate you getting back to me. That means so much. A lot of, happen this way all the time. Like, really use that opportunity to be cordial with them, because they could be the next agent on the next listing that you want to write an offer on, and they'll remember that interaction, as opposed to, oh, are you kidding me? Like, why didn't you tell me? I could have maybe gotten them to get up a little bit more. Like, you weren't communicating with me. Like, that's not going to do you any good in the future, or potentially if that deal falls apart and you didn't get the offer accepted the first go around.
Yeah. Yep. Anybody else? What are some other scenarios of how this can waterfall? Chris, that was just a thumbs up, or do you want to add? You always got something to say, Chris. What do you got on this one?
It was just a thumbs up, but I literally came into this game late, so I don't know how this got started or anything. I was dealing with 3 other irate buyers agents on the other line because they didn't get what they wanted. So my thumbs up to Jay was exactly that, a thumbs up. I can't hear you, Steve. Is that?
Oh, no, that's me. We had an agent write an offer and just no ability to have a conversation with the listing agent prior to the deadline of offer submission. And it's like, how can you put together your best offer? How can that agent be getting the best terms out of the buyer's agents that do have offers on the table? So just communication. We're just trying to make sure that we get this right.
Well, and this was all over the agents I want to work with on Facebook yesterday as well, because there's just so much of it going on right now. And the case scenario I wrote, the agent had written that they put in their offer. They tried this agent multiple times, didn't get a call back. And then the next morning says to their client, I'm still waiting to hear back. And the client says, I don't know what you're waiting to hear back on, because I just saw it went under agreement on realtor.com. And so, like, that agent obviously looks shitty, you know what I mean, to her client, when literally it was highest and best by 5 o'clock and that person never got back to the other agent. So it is huge communication. And it's with everything, because there was even on something else, an agent asked for a referral. They're like from Illinois, right? And they asked for a referral agent. And as far as vetting goes, like literally within 15 minutes, and I'm just going to throw this out there, I had sent, my credentials, my whatever, blah, 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 blah. And she said, oh, I already sent 4 people to her, I don't want to overwhelm her. And I'm saying, I certainly hope you vetted those 4 people, because, like, did they just come in and then she sent them off and da da da? And she was like, no, 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 I vetted them. But then she ended up calling me at 5 o'clock at night and being like, you know what? Can I have your information again? Because apparently she didn't like any of the 4. So darn well this agent in Illinois didn't vet the referral that they were handing over. Like, this is our profession. We're CEOs of our company. You gotta vet, you gotta communicate, you gotta be professional. Like Jay said, you gotta say thank you for getting back to me. Sadly, I didn't get it, because all of this does matter.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yep. I love it. No, I mean, part of the reason that we built the refer company was to because the vetting is a nightmare. It's not easy to do referrals and pass them, right? We'll go through sometimes 10 different agents before we actually get an agent that's on the phone, that's communicative, that's got, at least a couple of years and 20, 30 transactions under their belt. It could take 10 phone calls just trying to pass a live referral, right? So it's
And
an
I knew she
interesting
didn't
business.
do that in 15 minutes, Steve.
Right.
You know what
No.
I mean? Like,
No, we've got a full-time support person that just makes these calls. Hey, we've got somebody for you, So it's interesting for sure. Anybody else on this topic? Because I would love to just hear just some other ways that it snowballs. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, so I think one of the other things to do when you're getting 33 offers, 15 offers, is staying organized as a listing agent. So one of the things I do, and this might sound super simple, but the first thing is every email that I get goes into a folder in Gmail of that property. The second thing is a spreadsheet gets created with all the major terms. So that is obviously offer price, deposit, loan type, who's the agent, who's the lender, any special terms, closing date, inspection deadline. So I can scan 33 offers. Now the reality is 5 of them are going to rise to the top, 3 of them are going to rise to the top. But where it gets tricky is, agents will say, hey, when you say, hey, it's highest and best or multiple offers, you start to get emails back saying, hey, we're willing to raise our offer, $3,000. You want me to fill out another form? And you can just kind of note the spreadsheet and say, yeah, get it back to me, but I'll make a note in the meantime. So staying organized is super critical when you got that many offers. The second thing is, in Massachusetts, unless the offer has changed, there is no checkbox for I need to sell my house, and there's no checkbox for I want closing costs on behalf of my buyer. So I always respond and say, hey, got your offer, just want to confirm, nothing to sell, no closing cost requests are coming in. And I can't tell you, I mean, the house to sell is more rare, but I can't tell you how many times I've gotten back a message that says, I totally left that off. They do need $6,000 in closing costs, right? So just making sure, because there's no triggers for buyer's agents to elect those options, to make sure you're confirming that with the buyer's agent. And I'm just talking about staying organized with this, because it can get crazy when you're dealing with that many. So just wanted to add that context.
And Megan, I see your hand up. I will get to your question. But Adam, I just had a little bit more for you. What am I missing with the part where, okay, 5 rise to the top, right? And now I'm going to go back to them and say, hey, you know what? This one's doing this. This one's doing this. This one's doing this. Of those 3 other things, we'd love to go with your offer. You're currently sitting in 5th place, right? But if you could do this, 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 and this, like, are you doing that? Is that real world stuff? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, so I think it depends on what I have for comps and where I think appraisal value is, right? So if I think we're at the top of the appraisal, I'm going to have that discussion with my client and say, hey, look, we might already be at the top of appraisal, because I remember these days you're 30,000 over, 40,000 over, like you're pushing comps at this point. So guess what? The highest offer might not be the best offer. So it's a discussion with the seller of, hey, I think we've got some appraisal risk here. Let's go back and not necessarily just ask for highest and best, but the person that comes back with an appraisal gap coverage is going to be the winner, right? So, I typically tell people, hey, my sellers aren't just necessarily trying to be greedy here, but it is about terms. Do we have some flexibility on closing timeline? Do we have some flexibility on increasing the deposit? Whatever the seller cares about most is what I'll typically go back with. If they're like, hey, Adam, you told me the deposit doesn't matter because 99% of the time it goes back to the agent, to the buyer anyway, well, I might not care about a huge deposit, right? So it might just be price. Or I might say, hey, is closing time important to you? Because I can go back to the buyer and say, hey, I want your lender. Because remember, buyer's agents can put whatever the heck they want for a closing date. And I can almost guarantee you they didn't call the lender and say, hey, I'm putting 3.5 weeks for a closing date. Can you do that? No, they just put it on the offer and hopefully it works out. So I might go back to the buyer's agent and say, hey, can you close in 3 weeks? My people need to be out in 3 weeks. And I need confirmation from your lender we can get it done. Can we order the appraisal right away before inspections, right? So just a conversation with the seller of what they want, and then going back to those 5 and say, here's what's most important.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot here. Meg, what do you got?
So just kind of, echoing a lot of the things that Chris and Adam have said, all these conversations that Adam is giving you examples that he's having, that all takes time, right? So we as listing agents need to not only set a deadline for offers, but we need to also know our clients and know what it's going to take for them to be comfortable accepting an offer. So what I like to do is have the conversation with my sellers, okay, here's our offer deadline. We need time to review these offers and then get back to people so that I can then have a response time that I can give to these buyer's agents, because everybody a lot of times will be like, oh, well, deadline for offers is 5. I'll hear in like an hour, right? Well, no, that's not realistic when you're sorting through 33 offers. Like, you need time to have these conversations that Adam is saying. So, it's again, building out that timeline and communicating it back to everyone.
Yeah. Good. I love it. Anybody else want to add to this? Todd, I apologize, man. We went pretty hard on this one, and I'm sure you had some home inspection stuff that was going to blow the doors off today.
We'll save it for next time. Next
All right.
time.
We
The
appreciate.
answer is
Yeah.
Massachusetts was extended to June 15th
Okay.
of 2025.
Awesome.
They extended it on March 11th until June 15th, 2025.
And just a reminder, guys, that is a Massachusetts law. I don't know what other states have this enacted, but we'll keep an eye on that one for sure. Amber, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just had a quick inspection question. I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago. They were supposed to get back and I may have missed it, but do we have an answer as to whether all federal, like VA, I know FHA was one, are doing that well pump 4-hour test? Or is it just the FHA? Or I know they were gonna check into it and I just don't know if we discussed it or not.
Well, there's two sides to that. One is the regulation, and one is what people are actually doing. The regulation is it has to be a 4-hour test. I have talked to numerous well inspectors and other home inspectors, and also some agents and some lenders, and they're not pushing it. The regulation is there, but the practicality is most people are not doing it. So it's kind of up in the air right now, but the regulation that was passed that's in the federal regs is FHA VA needs a 4-hour well test. 3 gallons a minute for an old well, 5 gallons a minute for a new well, but most people are not pushing it.
Thanks, Todd. Any final thoughts? I think we could probably do another call just on talking about the little tweaks that you're seeing in an offer, right? When there are 8, 10 offers, what are some other things besides, inspection, allowing somebody to rent it back? We can maybe talk through some of these strategies to get your offer accepted, because I think there's a lot. And I think as a listing agent, sometimes you don't even realize what some of these different things are. And if you don't start asking these questions of your seller, you don't really understand what the seller's needs are. One thing that was just coming to mind, I'll close on this one, is if we're down to 3 offers and they all seem darn the same, asking the buyer's agent, hey, what's the situation with your buyer if this were to get extended? Just if randomly something comes up on the title or something and we need an extra 30, 60, 90 days or something, what's your buyer's situation? Because we've seen stuff where just randomly, no fault of anybody's, it gets extended and the buyer loses their mind. They don't have a place. They're looking for compensation now. You're not closing on time, So part of, looking through 3 offers that are all darn close might just be, oh yeah, they're living in their parents' basement. Extend 60 or 90 days, no big deal, right? Who knows? But you should have a list of these questions that you're asking, right? And then as a buyer's agent, I always wanted to just put a little bit of doubt in the listing agent's head about the qualities of mine, right? Hey, my clients are living in their parents' basement. So I'm not sure if you've asked, but just in case this thing got extended, right? Any little thing that I can throw out there to make the listing agent feel like, damn, this is solid in every aspect. Even if I was $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 short, maybe I've done enough to say, hey, did you ask all these other questions? I know you got 2 other offers, right? You and I both have done a deal together. You've used this lender that I'm using before. This is the attorney that we're going to use. We've got that in common. I'm trying to make the listing agent feel comfortable with going with my offer and just getting a little bit of doubt in their head about going with that other offer. Even though it might be more money, if I can just plant a little bit of a seed of doubt, right? And now, can you do this with every buyer? No. Sometimes you're going to have a buyer that's just like, man, this buyer's hanging on to a piece of thread that I can get this deal through, right? And you're nervous that it's even going to get to the finish line. But sometimes you've got that rock solid buyer And it's in your best interest. And if you're doing your job as an agent, you've got to communicate that over to the other side. So, and if you're, you feel like you're in a position where you are writing a lot of offers and they're not getting accepted, this is the part of your game that you really got to work on. It's the conversations, it's the strengthening of your offer, it's conversations with your buyer ahead of time. All these little things are why the best agents get multiple offers situations accepted. And the rest of them are just, I'm submitting offers, but I'm not getting them accepted. It's a skill. So hopefully there was a good takeaway for you guys today. I sure enjoyed going on this one. Romani, thank you for bringing your situation forward and getting us started. Todd, again, I apologize. I hope you guys go out and take action today. It's midweek. It's hump day. Go have some fun. Go have some conversation. Send some texts. Make some calls. Put a deal together, and let's talk about it tomorrow. All right? Take care, and we'll do it again tomorrow morning.